Amanda here from Create Your Future. Guys, I got Othania joining me today. Hey, Othania.
Hey, Amanda, how are you?
I'm good. We have an exciting video, how to get your ex back. We've also got a subscriber question here. So this video is for anybody that's getting breadcrumbs, hot and cold behavior. Maybe you've had a fight, or maybe the communication is just fizzled out. So we are definitely going to talk about that. Just before we do, guys, we do have a free course, how to find your blocks to manifest anything fast. It's a really good course. It's going to help you build your mental diet. One thing that I didn't realize early on in my journey is that questioning is a block. Now, I'm not talking about questioning what is a mental diet or, those kind of questions. I'm talking about like if you're manifesting back an SP, like a specific person, your ex, saying, oh, what are they thinking about me? Why aren't they calling me? When you're questioning the subject that you're trying to get back, then that's 100% a block, because we need to be really clear on our story, because everyone is us pushed out. So that is really going to help you. And Othania, you've got coaching. Is it on sale?
It sure is.
Awesome. So definitely check that out, guys. Link is in the description. Yes, and of course, you have a course as well, don't you?
Yes, I do. I have 2 courses.
And what are they?
They're awesome. I have a Remove the 3P course, and I have a Confidence Alchemy course. So by the end of that course, your self-concept is going to be totally transformed, so you can be able to magnetize in anything that it is that you want.
That is so awesome. I love courses and I love coaching. Like, I believe in coaching. I did like a 2-year intensive, weekly like coaching for Everyone Is You Pushed Out. Like, it's so ingrained in me now. And it's so different to have like that hour or 30 minutes where you're talking to someone who's not buying into your complaining, who's going, look at, what, that's the problem you have. This is where you want to be. Let's make some affirmations. Let's talk about an action plan. Let's start changing the way that you're viewing some of the situations to help you stop reacting. Like, it's absolutely amazing. And courses, like, I don't know about you guys, but like, I love paper and pen. Like, I've got a really nice gel pen and some paper. And the courses are just like a self-guided way to help you, take time and actually spend time, thinking about your manifestation and building it. So like, I've done so many courses as well, like online courses. And it's just like, when you really take the time to like write out or to think about what you actually want in your relationship or your situation, it completely transforms everything. Sometimes when I'm sitting on the couch, I'm so tempted to be like, oh, I'm not going to think about my stuff. I'm just going to stroll TikTok, right? Or Instagram. But when I sit down with a course in front of me, pen and paper, it's time that you've got dedicated to it. So that's what they're designed for, if you like that sort of thing, so definitely highly recommended. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on coaching and courses. But guys, we give away everything in videos as well as we answer your subscriber questions. So let's dive into it. So the question we have here is, my special person contacts me from time to time, but not in the way I want. I ignore it because it's not the version I want. I can't get him to come to me with love and uninterrupted communication. So the first thing that I'm going to say with this is, it's not about ignoring your 3D. I know a lot of coaches have said ignore it. But when they say ignore it, what they really mean, at least on my team, Create Your Future, is to not react to it, okay? You cannot not ignore it. Like, you have to acknowledge it, okay? It's about real-time revision. It's about doing a mental diet. So, when he shows up and he's not giving you the communication that you want, it's like, okay, thank you for that. I intend, and then, you do your new thing. So he like messages you and he says like, I don't know, send you a CNN article instead of this long, like, text saying how much he loves you. You say, okay, great. Okay. Don't react. You got the text, take a look at it and say, okay, well, this is nice, but I want this instead, and it's about constantly doing that in your 3D reality. So one thing that you need to get really clear, whether you're manifesting someone new or an ex back, is your end goal. What do you want to see? Okay. And that end can be very different for everybody. Ultimately, your end goal is, I would make it like in little steps. Okay. Like, let's be real, in relationships, your end goal is like what, your 50th wedding anniversary or 70th? It's not even marriage, but why go to the 70th wedding anniversary? Why not start with, okay, let's get back into contact and let's start dating. Then let's move in together. Let's get engaged, or whatever order you want. Right.
Absolutely, because, excuse me, it also matters about how you're seeing it, because if your person is actually communicating with you, right, it's like, okay, so now you are at a place where you weren't getting any communication. So now your person is actually communicating with you. So it's like, okay, how are you understanding this? Are you understanding this as they're not coming in the way that I want, so I'm not going to do this? Or are you understanding this as, okay, they're starting to come in now, this is actually working? Because the more that you are in your mind about it, like, no, he's not the version I want to be right now, so I'm not going to respond. That's pushing out with time as you're thinking that, as you're in your mind believing that, because that is a core belief within you if you're saying that. So you're basically saying, and you're basically perpetuating your person still not being the version that you want, because that's how you're perceiving it. Now, if I were you and my person was writing me, but I still kind of felt they weren't coming in, I will take that. I will start communicating, and then I will start seeing really what's going on, instead of just being like, okay, this is not the version that I want. Because what if he's just saying hi to you right now and how you doing? But in your mind, you're like, oh my God, he's not asking me to marry him yet. But it's just like, what if you just kept the conversation going for a few days, and then next thing you know, he plans a date, and then next thing you know, things get better and you take it from there? If you're just gonna cancel it out and just like, my person's not who he is right now, then how would you ever get to the point to know that he's actually being who you want him to be?
Exactly. Like, you cannot resist your current reality. The more you resist your current reality, the more you're going to get of it. So in this question, like, if you're actually ignoring the person and not texting them back, then you're just basically putting up your own wall, and you're not going into your 4D and creating it. So, I remember, basically, and this is a really good example of revision. Okay. So for all of you trying to get your ex back, you may need to revise the reason why you're not together. So basically, I know when I wanted to move in with Andrew and he had baggage, right? The day I said, well, we've been together for how long now? Why don't we move in together? We're always spending time together. And he said, no, I'm not ready. And I was pretty much ready to dump him. I was like, and he was like, well, do you want me to leave? And I thought to myself, I'm like, no, actually, I don't, because I don't want him to leave. I do want to be with him. And it's kind of like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, it's like, so then I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, well, if he's not ready, okay, that's fine. Like, I mean, how rude of me to be like, well, do I want him or do I just want to be married? Do you know what I mean? Like, so it was like, well, no, I want to be with him. And how rude of me to say, sorry, you're not ready, I'm moving on. Like, if that's not, a relationship. So I revised it. I went, okay, Andrew's over his baggage and ready to move in with me. And I did that solid for 5 days, and I still hung out with him, and we still did everything together. Like, it was normal, because, and the fact that I was doing that and not resisting my current reality made him think, oh my God, she's okay with this. I might actually lose her. And then, okay, maybe this is a good idea to move in with her, because if you put up a big fight and you put the wall up and you ignore it, you're only going to make it worse, right? So, because you're coming from resistance, and what you get, what you give, right? So, if you got to accept what you've created. Because if you wanted it, you'd be happy it was there, but you created what was bad too,
Absolutely. And you just have to also be considerate about the version of who you are too. A lot of us are just focusing on the version of who they're being, right? But then you got to remember, if you're not writing your person back, then that means how can you be in the relationship and the full commitment if you also are just like, no, he's not the version I want right now. So it's just like, okay, so when are you ever going to tap in? Like, are you just waiting for him to write in a text message how much he loves you, wants to be with you, and all of that? It's just like, it's not saying it's not realistic, but it's just like,
well, you got to like build it up and create it in your
exactly.
mind.
That's literally exactly I was going to say, the build up.
I know. I could totally feel it. Like, for instance, of course, I mean, dating Andrew right away. I mean, yeah, okay, I wanted to be married, but I didn't see him like actually proposing on the first date. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to build it up in your mind, and you're only getting yourself out of the way, right? So if you do believe that you can, cut someone off, walk away, and like basically have them walk in the next day and say, I love you, or a month later, then go ahead. It's never been my experience, that, for me, I can't do that, because I want the real time feedback. Okay. I want to know what is sticking and what isn't sticking. And when we're in no contact, we don't know what's sticking to the wall or not, right? Because you're not talking to them, right? And how it gets, and the more time you're not talking to them, in my mind, it would get more unlikely that they're just going to pop out of the blue and say they love me, especially after a fight, and eventually, oh, I'm going to sit here and have no contact until they turn around and say that they love me, okay, because I just can't bear to be in front of them. And then all of a sudden time keeps passing, and then I'll start thinking, oh my God, maybe they're moved on, maybe they're on to somebody else. Like, I would never, because I know I can't handle it that way. If you can, go ahead. But I would suggest getting on the court, getting back into the relationship, interacting with what you've already created, and then molding it with your mental diet in real time. And for those of you out there that are getting your ex back, what happened to break you guys up? The quickest way to get an apology is to intend that the other person takes responsibility for the breakup, and then they apologize because they love you and want to be with you. And they feel like they did you wrong and they give you an apology, okay? Or if you can't quite buy that story, buy that both of you guys were wrong, okay, and that you both apologize to each other, and that, your SP, your special person, is very forgiving and understanding, right? And basically that the fight was nothing. It doesn't matter. You guys are going to be back together and you're good enough,
Absolutely. Every time I manifested an ex back, my mental state was not at a place where I was angry at them. It was not at a place where I had the burning desire and super expectations of, when an ex came back, I was always in my whatever, I'm fine, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling great. It was never in a place where I was so, what's the word, like just pressured and just feeling like it has to happen now and it has to be. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm in my own world and it's going to happen when it happens. And every time I was in that state, it happened probably 24 hours, 40 hours, 72 hours. It was never longer than that.
Exactly. It's when you reach the neutral, because when you reach the neutral, everyone is you pushed out. It pushes out other people. Okay. If you're holding on to a story that's making you angry or feeling rejected or upset, then, manifesting from that standpoint isn't going to help. Okay. Because those feelings, okay, are not coming from, oh, my SP is a very caring and understanding and forgiving person and is going to apologize to me. Because if you say that statement, that doesn't make you angry. That actually makes you feel good. So you need to change enough of your story that you're back to neutral. Okay. So if you're, thinking about your SP and you're feeling angry, rejected, then you're only going to get more of that. You need to change the thoughts that you're harboring inside. Right. I've manifested exes back as well. And, same thing. As long as I thought they were mad at me and I was anxious and nervous to pick up the phone, they didn't call me. In fact, this one ex that I did I did manifest him back eventually, but I would call him. And as soon as he would hear my voice, he'd hang up on me every single time because I was like, oh my God, I bet you're still mad at me. And you're like, hello. And I'd be like, hi, click.
Damn. It's really like that.
And you know what? I mean, I just keep showing up. Okay. I would argue to say that the most successful people, in my opinion, are the ones that just keep showing up. Okay. Keep showing up, keep trying. They're out there on the court, playing the basketball game, missing the passes, catching the passes. The ones that say, look, you know what? I'm just going to stay away, get out of that relationship and go sit on the bench until he shows up, on a white horse with a rose to apologize to me and profess his dying love. I mean, I'm not sure how well those always work. That's sort of coming from, I don't want to be hurt, and putting a wall, a bubble around yourself of rejection, because you're doing that because you're hurt, right? So you need to talk yourself out of that hurt, I mean, there's so many things that I've done, in my business and my relationship where I've been like, hello, and someone's been like, nope. And I've been like, hello. And they're like, nope. I'm like, hello. And they're like, nope. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to keep doing this until I get what I want, and because none of this is real anyway. Everything's a projection of your subconscious mind, right?
And to get your ex back, I mean, it has to match. Everything has to match up. It's like, how can you really expect to get love and attention and affection from someone within you is full of resentment, doubt, and fear and anxiety? It's not a match. And it's just like, but I love them and I want them to love me. But what you really have to understand is that everything works by your thoughts and what's going on inside of your body and inside of your mind. And it has to be a match of what you want with this person, right? So if you want your ex back and if you want him to confess his love for you and you want him to do this and that for you, then you cannot be a version of you that's filled with fear, doubt, anxiety, and all that stuff. You have to be more of a match of love, confidence, and optimism within yourself in order to have that really come from the other person. Because if you're having resentment, it's really going to be hard to get that apology and love because you're still filled with the gook, you're still filled with the gunk. So it's like, and your person will know that. They know that they're you pushed out. So you can't hide that. You can't, if you're still in your mind ruminating and doing all that stuff, like Amanda said, the questioning, when you're confident and with your person, there's no questioning. There's none of that. There's none of that stuff. So it will be hard. If you're still questioning, it will be hard for your person to come in and with the confessions and with the all that stuff. If you're still questioning, it's like, it's not a match.
Exactly. So, I mean, resentment, it's coming down to a feeling of bitterness, that you've been treated unfairly or badly. Now, okay, yes, you can create that someone treats you unfairly or badly. Okay. So that's fine. So there's a couple different things, right? How to revise this. One of my favorite ways to revise things is to change the meaning I'm giving it. Okay. So like, for instance, let's say Jerry's late picking me up. I can turn around and say, he's so disrespectful. He doesn't respect my time. Me giving him being late, that meaning is now going to basically ripple out, and he's going to start treating me unfairly and badly in many different situations now because I've now labeled him as that. Now, if I give it the meaning like, okay, it was a one-off thing. He didn't mean it. He's usually on time. Of course, he respects my feelings. Stuff happens. Traffic happens. This is empty and meaningless. It doesn't matter. Then all of a sudden that changes the way I feel about the situation. Okay. So that's one way to revise it, is to change the meaning that you're giving the situation. Now, again, you know what? It's okay. You know what? Just because you created it, don't blame it on yourself. You need to intend that other people take responsibility for it. So the other way we can feel better from resentment is we can, manifest an apology. I've done many videos on this. Actually, one was just last week. So definitely check it out in my playlist. But, long story short, okay, intend that they take responsibility for it. They apologize to you because they're a forgiving and understanding and caring person, and they care about how you feel, and you're good enough to have that happen. Okay. And you forgive yourself for manifesting it, but don't say, oh, it's all my fault because I created it. No, never. Because then everyone else is going to blame it on you too. Everyone is you pushed out. Intend people take responsibility for how they treat you and how it shows up, and intend you get that apology, right? And that's another way to go about it. The other way people revise is they just completely change the situation like it didn't happen at all. So they go in and they change the conversation that happened. I have a time because I'm a very practical, logical person. I have a little bit harder time wrapping my head around that, like changing the whole conversation. I find it easier to change the meaning, but you do what works for you, boo. You do what works for you.
Exactly. I noticed that usually if I'm really upset at someone and I notice that we stop talking, and I noticed that, hey, I miss this person. I want to talk to this person again. I noticed that I'll just be like, you know what? They love me. They forgive me. And it's almost like nothing ever happened. And I kid you not, every time I do that, it's literally the next time we speak is like nothing ever happened.
I've done that too, actually. I've done that too, yeah. Or you know what? Like I have intended that, like it's like just somebody just completely forgets everything bad.
Exactly.
Stuff. I've done that too, right? And same thing. Like I think this is a good example, at least for me. I know when I was younger, drinking and embarrassing myself and think, oh my God, everyone must have been like thinking I'm so weird. But now I'm thinking, no, you know what? They thought I was the life of the party. Like nobody cares.
Exactly.
You create what people think, and you create, how they view you, right? And you create how they treat you. Like setting boundaries is up here. It's not verbally saying, don't be late. You need to say to yourself, Jerry's never late. He always treats me with respect. If you don't want someone to disrespect you, don't create the meaning to their actions as disrespect, right? You know, there's like 100 ways to look at something. Always give it a good meaning. Always see the good in people. I think that's really important. I don't know. I don't know if it's just us humans, and I know I'm not the only person, but like, I feel like every relationship deteriorates over time, you know, depending on if you're catching your negative story, because it seems like humans just automatically start creating all of these, like, I don't know, stories, like negative stories, and start seeing the worst in people. Like, I've had relationships end because that's all that ever built up over the years, was all these negative stories and all this resentment. And, you know, I'm trying so hard consciously, because I'm aware of that in my current relationship, to keep it positive and, you know, and to not let those stories build up, you know, and not have those same reoccurring fights over nothing. Do you know what I mean? So, but, yeah, I don't know. I think it's like a human thing. I don't know. I intend we're just naturally positive people.
Right? Because the catastrophic thinking is a thing, and it's easy to slip into that if you're not aware of that your thoughts create. I mean, it's easy to slip into it even if you are aware that your thoughts create, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I try to find programs on TV that are positive based more than negative based, like, you know, and try to, you know, there's this one show I watch. I don't know. I don't want to, but anyways, it's like all of the relationships are so positive. It's like, it's this medical show or whatever, like sitcom. Anyways, it's all positive, and it's really nice to see, you know, that nobody's like, you know, backstabbing anybody. Like, they're all genuinely helping each other, and it's and coming together, and it's like, wow, that's really nice to see. And it's a, you know, it really makes you feel good, rather than, you know, you watch the show where people are like for each other backstabbing, and
right,
you know, and
exactly,
you know, and it's like, really, you know, and that makes you feel, you know. But anyway, and now I'm just rambling.
No, because that is so true. Because when you're watching a show, right, like, and you're watching people like getting cheated on and like having secret lovers and all this stuff, and then now your mind is going to your life and the people in your life, and now you're like ruminating on when people cheated on you and things like that, and now you're like ruminating on that and then pushing that out. So it's like, what you watch in your programming is very important, and a lot of people just don't realize that it's all just being taken in.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, it's funny. So me, myself, like, you know, I dream a lot anyway in my dreams. Like, I do dream, and my dreams are quite vivid. I remember them, and I love dreaming. I think it's the best thing in the world, right? Sleeping and dreaming. But anyway, you know what I noticed, right, is you know, I play video games, and when I basically like sit down and get a new video game and love it, and like, you know, take a whole Saturday to play it, I dream about it that night. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll have a dream. Yeah. And like, same things with things that happen in my day-to-day life. Like, if something like, you know, I have a fight with Andrew and I'm worried we're going to break up, I'll dream about it. Like, but a different scenario, you know what I mean? You know, and so I find that what I experience during the day, it's like I dream about. I don't know if I intended that or what happened, but you know, it's quite interesting how the two sort of like, you know, play out. So like this video game I've been playing, I've like, when I dream at night, I'm a character in it. Like, it's nuts.
Oh, that's
but it just shows what you're taking in all day. You know, it's like, yeah, but it's also the other thing, like Napoleon Hill said this with subconscious mind, is like, before you go to bed, give it orders, tell it to heal you, tell it to, you know, make all of your manifestations come true, right? Even Neville said, you know, make sure that you're in the state of having what you want. So don't go to bed worried, don't go to bed with anxiety. Okay, leave, you know, your conscious mind on a positive note, you know, tell it what you want, you know, set yourself up for it, right?
Exactly. And you know, before we end this video, I want to give one more example from the Barbie movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but
yes, I did. On my plane. I did on the
I
plane.
Loved it. And in the beginning, I've noticed that, because when I watch movies and I watch things, I like to correlate everything to real life, and I like to see the connections. And I've noticed that in the beginning of the movie, she was very sparkly, bubbly. Hi, Barbie. And her days were just going so beautiful and wonderful. And then she started to become, I don't want to say dark, but she wasn't the same sparkly, bubbly Barbie that she was in the beginning. And then her days started to become a little more with obstacles in it. And it wasn't the same spunk as the beginning when she was just so full of life and everyone was reflecting that back to her. It was different. So that just showed me like, okay, who you are and your energy really matters, and it's going to become your environment.
Exactly, exactly. So your thoughts is always creating. You can't turn it off, you can't turn it on. It's always happening. You're always manifesting everything constantly. Everything in your life is a manifestation. Now the thing is, right, is as I say, you don't need to be in a good mood all the time to manifest. But
right.
You know what, for instance, if you're like anxious about your SP, you're manifesting. But if you want to change a situation, you need to be neutral about it at least, right? So you can't be angry at what you want to change. You can't be anxious, so it just helps just to be like overall happy in every area of your life, right? Because whatever area you're upset in, you're only going to get more of what's going to make you upset, because that's what thoughts you're having. That's what you're focusing on, things that are making you upset in that area. So the universe is like the genie in the bottle is like, hey, your wish is my command.
Yeah.
Guess what, guys? You get more than 3 wishes. You get like 60,000 a day.
Right.
Right.
No, that's real.
Lucky
That's
us.
true. That's so true. You just be mindful and just understand, take it like this. When you put a VR headset on, right? What you see looks real, but when you take the VR headset off, it's not there, right? So just kind of think of it like life as a permanent VR headset.
I love that.
And, it's like you can't take it off, but you know that what you see looks real, but it's really not. It's just a permanent VR headset type of thing.
Exactly. I like, and however you guys want to look at it, right? Like do what works for you. But like, I like looking at it like, it's all just a simulation and it's not real, and I sort of get that from quantum physics, and that thought comforts me. Okay. So pick how you want to describe your reality as yours, that it's your quantum bubble and you're in control and in charge of everything. But I say that not for an excuse for you to be a victim and blame yourself. It's like, things happen. Okay. Like, but you always ultimately have control of where you're going to end up at the end of the day. Right. And I think the most successful people, like when I screw up, I'm like, oops, okay, I can change it. But the ones that aren't successful are the ones that dwell on it, blame themselves, all of a sudden say, oh, people that talk about LOA and everyone else as you pushed out is victim blaming. They're just not taking responsibility for what they've created. Now, trust me, there's a lot of things. If you guys want to know about, childhood trauma and stuff like that with manifesting, I have done a video on it. Email us. I'll give you the link, right? And I have touched on that. So no, we're not responsible for everything that we've manifested in our whole entire life. I just want to put that disclaimer on there before anybody comments. Okay. But, at the end of the day, okay, there's some things you're not responsible for when you're younger. There's some things that, how can you be responsible if you're unconsciously creating? But the name of this game is not to blame yourself. Blaming yourself is never going to change anything, right? It's about moving on, and some things were programmed into us when we were younger that, it was external programming. So anyway, more about that is in that video, but I think we've ran on this one long enough. I intend each of you guys get your ex back.
Right. So if you want to get your ex back, right, you just have to be the person that is just knowing of themselves, that doesn't have to, okay, you can get whatever it is that you want. But the point is to not think against it.
Exactly.
And not take actions that are against what you actually want. You got to be real with yourself. And if you want your person back and they're contacting you, contact them back. Write them back. If they're saying hello, you say hello, right? And if they take a day or two to respond, that's fine. But you know what you have to do? Ride the wave of being happy that the communication came in, instead of riding the wave of being upset that now it's taking too long, because now you're going back to who you used to be before.
That is the golden nugget of all of this, right? It's, beyond the it's working. I'm seeing signs beyond that side of it, regardless of what's showing up, and you'll automatically create yourself a bridge. So
exactly. automatically create yourself a bridge. I love that.
You are awesome, Othania. I love it. Thank you so much. I intend this helps people, and I intend everyone's enjoyed watching the video as much as I have making it with you, Othania, because I really do love talking about this, and yeah, I do, and I just love sharing it. I love changing people's lives. So thank you so much.
Yes, you're very welcome. And I intend that this has helped everyone that has watched this video, and I intend that you all get your exes back.
We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
See you guys.